How are you?
I'm here with my husband, Brian.
Good morning.
Good morning, Brian and Andrea. Thank you all for being here. It seems like we are all set. I'll turn it over to you and let you host. Everybody enjoy ICONversations. Happy Friday, all.
Awesome. Cool. So do we have everybody here?
I'm here.
Yeah, you've got.
Yeah, I'm here.
Right on. Well, let's dig into it. So we'll go from one person to the next, and let's dig into what has made you successful as an ICON agent. But let's first start with a little bit of a background story. What's your experience in real estate? And let's say prior to EXP and then after joining EXP, and what's really been, let's say, one of the key contributors to your success, your quick background story, starting with, let's say, Brian and Andrea Crouch. Did I say your name right?
You did indeed.
Yes, thank you. Well, we've been in the business for 14 years. We've been with EXP for the last 3. We came from a small brokerage, a budget brokerage before. And so right now, we've just seen a lot of growth in our team, since we joined EXP with team concepts and how to grow a team successfully. And each year we outdo the year before. So very happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Let's go next to Don. Is it Maori?
Yes, good morning. Don Mowry from the Inland Empire Rancho Cucamonga area of Southern California. Been in real estate for now 31 years, I believe. I got started, my degree was in finance, real estate law, went to work for Wells Fargo Bank, found out I didn't want someone telling me when to take vacation and when to take my lunch real fast, and fell off the stagecoach, got into becoming a real estate appraiser, and built that company up, and then got into real estate about 95, but really started into 2008. Built a team up, had about 250 sites, 3.6 million in GCI, and scaled it back. Owned a Remax franchise, and I saw the EXP model. At first I was, I didn't really, no one really explained the model to me correctly. And then after a while, after looking at it and seeing the growth of the company and the agents, I took a second look at it and made the leap. And I love it. It's been amazing.
Awesome. To say the least, it looks like we've got a lot of experience and a lot of success up here speaking. So excited to dig further into this. Let's hear from AJ and Courtney Ackerman.
Hey guys, so usually you guys who attend these meetings catch my husband AJ. I do more of the back end stuff, but and he does all the client facing stuff. So what he's actually doing today is some super exciting certification. I'm not sure how much information has been shared, but he said I can share what he's doing today. He's doing some certification for some coaching that EXP is starting. We're super excited about being able to bring that to our ICON agents. I believe are the people who are going to have first dibs in accessing the training. But so you've got me today. Our background, we owned a brokerage. So AJ's been in the business since before he and I met, so like 2008, I believe. We started a brokerage in 2015, a boutique brokerage, and we grew that organically to 54 agents doing over 100 million in business within 3 years, and it just wasn't working out. Long story short, we ended up selling to our business partner, and we decided to go back into sales full time, where we had total control over our destiny and our lives. And so when we left, we looked at several different models, and I didn't care where we went, and AJ chose EXP. And I know I was overhearing Curtis when I walked in, before the last presentation was talking about going to EXPCon. And y'all, that's where my eyes were opened to EXP, and I absolutely fell in love with. We went to our first shareholders meeting. So if you were listening to that, or if you were just on the fence at all about going to the live event in Vegas, go. Hands down, no questions asked. Make the investment in yourself and go experience this company, because that is, you'll know what EXP is about here. As far as what we do in sales, it's just he and I. I've kind of actually stepped away from the business a little bit, but last year we did 64 transactions altogether and almost 25 million in sales. This year so far, we actually just hit our capping transaction last week, so that's super excited. So for this year, we have already hit it several months early, but this year so far we are at 14 million in sales and roughly 50 transactions so far this year. So we're super excited to be here, and if you're familiar with AJ, he's much better at these than I am.
No, this is excellent. I love all of the different perspectives, and specifically the backgrounds prior to EXP, having some sort of previous broker owners on the stage that saw the light at EXP. And I can definitely speak to that my first official live event will be in Dallas coming up. And then likewise we'll be in Las Vegas as well for EXPCon. So definitely, if you can, bring a friend to that event. It's going to be a really great time. So let's hear from next Rich. And how do I say your last name? Is it Orban? Orban?
Yes, it's Orban.
Perfect.
It's actually my wife Grace and I. We are a team. We joined EXP October of 2018, and I started real estate in 2007. Pretty much figure out I got in at the worst of the worst. I'll let my wife Grace tell you about her story and where we've gone from there.
Hey everyone, I'm Grace Orban, and I'm been in real estate since 1999. And sorry, we've got an echo here. I hope everybody else isn't hearing that. Okay, so loved the business, came into it intentionally in 1999, remained in it. We since then moved to different states from the original, first transaction. So from Jersey to Georgia, and then again from South Georgia to North Georgia when I met my husband, Rich. And we've been a team since 2014. We came, as he said, we came over to EXP in October 2018. The first year we missed ICON by one transaction. We were fortunate to make it last year, and definitely going to be making again this year. So we're just super excited to be part of the EXP family and all that's happening here. And just looking forward to continued growth. We work the Northeast GA area.
Awesome.
And the sales for me prior, I was in cosmetic sales earlier in my life.
Excellent. Well, this is really exciting. So we've got what it looks like, three husband-wife teams. And like I said, a lot of experience and a lot of success here speaking to us today, which is very exciting. I'll give you a real quick on my background. This will be my 9th year in real estate now. And been in EXP just over a year and a half, and I'm overwhelmed with what EXP has helped do for my business. Building a team, as well as a lot of you have been doing, and I was a solo agent prior to EXP, and we've now got 32 agents on the team so far, which is really exciting. What's most exciting for me, though, is that last year I had one of my best years as for sales production. 60 transactions, and this year we're on pace to do more than that. But what I'm most excited about is that we've got a little 17-month-old, and because of the team, because of the leverage and the help and support of building a team, I'm no longer showing houses, which means that I get to spend a whole heck of a lot more time watching my little guy grow up. So super excited about that. Super excited about what EXP has helped do for my business, and that being a large part of it. So I want to hear from you each now, specifically how you are managing your time, balancing between buyers and sellers in this market. As we know, in most markets, it's a little bit more of a challenge working with buyers. So how do you manage that, and how do you produce at a high level, sort of working with your buyers and your seller leads? How do you manage that? Let's start with Brian and Andrea.
Sure, of course. So here we have noticed it's pretty split 50-50 between buyers and sellers as we evaluate transactions. And we do now have 3 buyer agents on the team. So we're not really showing houses and handling that side of it. Mostly focused on listings. And so we kind of split it up that way. Anything to add to that?
No, but that's how we've bought our time back, is focusing more on listings and building out the buyer side.
Excellent. Yeah, it seems that the more listings you have, the more buyers you have. They sort of go hand in hand, and then it's a matter of, making it's not so much a matter of picking up the deal, but making sure that those clients are well taken care of.
Yes, absolutely. And this year, of course, has been different just because, every buyer's agent is, writing 10 offers before you get one accepted. So they're definitely doing a lot more work, which it's awesome to have that leverage. It's just phenomenal.
Yeah, and as a top producing agent, it's almost impossible to manage all of the buyers because of the work required. So God bless those teammates of ours that help us make things happen.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
Excellent. So Dawn, how do you manage the balance between buyers and sellers and managing all of the craziness with the market these days and shortage of inventory and all that stuff? You still there, Dawn?
For some reason, I can't get my mic to turn on.
We can hear you now.
Do you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, so some reason I'm getting my mic says off, but so same thing here. I think most agents start out as, either on a team, or if you're an individual agent working with buyers. Over time, as your listing production grows, you will either have a buyer's agent or an agent. I don't work with buyers necessarily unless they're over $1 million or if they're a personal friend. Most of my time is spent on just listings and appraisals and marketing. So I don't really, all my buyers I usually hand off to. I have 6 team members, and I hand them off to one of my 6 team members.
I love that. And regardless of whether you're with EXP or not, if you want to grow in this business, you've got to build a team. It just seems that EXP is the best platform to do that. And even if you're not a quote unquote, recruiter per se, you're still going to need to bring on great talent, to leverage yourself into selling more houses so that you can service the clients that you have, coming in. So it's an essential part of the process regardless, which is great. So thank you, Dawn. So AJ and Courtney, I think it's just Courtney here today. Tell us a bit about how you manage that balance.
So up until this year, it's been just he and I, and we do a lot to pre-screen our clients, and we don't always take everyone. We are fortunate enough to have a business where, if it's not the right fit, if it's not a client that we are going to enjoy working with, we will refer them to somebody else, anybody else, so that they don't, waste our time, or there's not miscommunication, communicating with somebody who you're just on two totally different planes. We've found forcing those relationships, it just is such a brain suck and a time suck and a waste of energy. So we really focus on screening for the right clients, using lead sources in a very intelligent way to where you're really getting quality leads over quantity of leads. So this year, what we've done, we've started building out a downline. That was never a reason why we came to EXP. It's just a bonus for us. But we've realized we're growing to a point where he and I can't handle it alone. So we've started bringing on other agents, and we are passing off to our downline agents anything that is on a lower price point that we know it's going to be a lot of time, a lot of hand holding. Basically, if it's not over at least 500, 600, or a past client, we're not personally handling it. Really focusing on trying to get listings for ourselves. And something that as a husband and wife team with, we have a 3.5 and a 5.5-year-old. I also actually this month just opened a brick and mortar business too. So we brought on a personal assistant. And so she has been tremendous in, we call her the CEO or the COO of our house. So she is helping us with all of our personal things. She's working on getting her license so that should we have somebody that, hey, I need you to let an inspector in a house or a photographer in, or I need you to go show 1 or 2 homes, she's going to be able to do that. But leveraging other resources to hand off and delegate tasks that are not money making for us. And we focus all of our time and attention on relationships with our clients. And of course, the relationship between he and I and our family is a huge priority. So balancing the relationships and delegating anything else that's not time consuming.
Awesome. I super love that. And I'm glad that you brought up the personal assistant. And I want to quickly speak to the assistant and the first buyer's agent. Now, you don't need to decide not to work with buyers all at once, of course, but that fear of letting go is a bit of an evolution throughout your business. But it's like, once you finally make that decision, you're worried about, will I have enough listing leads to, service my business and without sacrificing significant income? But once you finally make that decision, you'll find that it frees up all of this new energy in this new space to do exactly that. So, and likewise with hiring your first assistant, so many realtors wait way too long to hire their first assistant. And let's be honest, folks, we're probably, hopefully, better salespeople than we are administrators. So definitely do that as soon as you possibly can in your business. Rich, let's hear it, man. So with you and Grace, how do you manage the juggling act between buyers and sellers in a crazy market like this?
Well, I'll take that one. So first off, we're very blessed to have a lot of listings. Of course, we've had to work to get there. But what we do have a buyer's agent that we hand over any of the, overflow to, as far as leads. We do have a transaction coordinator. We do have a marketing assistant. So what we do is the buyers that we're choosing to work with are ones that are, either past clients or they're a list and a buy, or they were referred directly to us. Anything else is overflow, and we're happy to hand that over to our buyer's agent. And that's how we're able to, maintain, a good balance.
Yeah. And I mean, so accurate. It's the same thing, really. When you become a top producing real estate agent, your buyer's agent will be able to provide better service to your buyers than you possibly can. Even though you're the expert, they can still leverage your expertise, but because they have the time, they can service that client at a high level, which at the end of the day is a big win-win for everybody, because again, you're servicing the client at the highest level. So we had a question come through, which I'm going to frame our next question in such a way. So what advice do you have for new realtors? But I'm going to frame it this way. Let's go back in time. And for some of us, we've been in the business quite a long time. So like I said, we've got a lot of experience. So let's go back in time. If you were to start over as a brand new real estate agent, if I knew then what I know now, what would you do differently starting in real estate to make sure that you build it quickest, fastest you can, build it the right way, doing all the right things? Or what would be the one major thing that you would do differently starting all over again? Let's hear from Brian and Andrea.
I think the one thing, I think when you get your first couple of clients, you're so worried about customer service and you neglect sales aspect of getting your next customer. So I think if we were to start it all over, focus as much on lead generation as customer service.
Yeah, that's interesting. So are you saying that you were focused more so on lead generation back then, or more so on customer service? Because I know some people sort of lean more one way than the other.
Well, I think we were more focused on customer service, and not at all to say that we shouldn't have been, but it was like you're so busy taking care of that transaction, and like you just want to make sure you get it all the way to closing and yada yada, but not realizing, we're a little slow on the uptake over here. But not realizing, like, while that one is in escrow, you need to be getting the next one in the pipeline. So building that pipeline is absolutely critical. And that caused us to have a slow start, like really slow at the beginning. I mean, it was a tough market at the time also, but really focusing as soon as we got get the next one in escrow. Like that's been our focus going forward, but that was a challenge at that time.
Well, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for being vulnerable and honest. I think a lot of people are definitely going to benefit from that. Us as realtors, a lot of us are obsessive over the client experience, but think of it this way: if you're not generating new business all of the time, how many people are falling short as a result of not benefiting from the exceptional service that you have, right? How many people are you quote unquote letting down by not being able to service those people? The more people that can benefit from your great service, the better off they will all be. So definitely thank you for sharing that. And on the likewise reverse, sometimes people focus too much on lead generation and not enough on customer service. So there's definitely a balance there. Dawn, what would you do differently starting all over again?
I just want to make sure my mic's on because my screen says mic's off. So can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So mastering my database would probably be my biggest thing that I would have changed. Staying in touch with my past clients. I was so busy with new business and so busy with appraisals and building my team that I think I missed out on the opportunity of developing the highest ROI, which is your database and past clients. And if I could give advice to a new agent, you do have an amazing CRM to work with that EXP provides to you, is really taking the time to work on that. If you have to pay somebody to help you set that up, do it. But put those people into your database, your Sphere, past clients, and build that database, because I spent over $1 million in building realtor.com leads and leads that, Zillow leads in my career. I spent $30,000 a month in leads and $80,000 total to run the team. And that is you can make a lot of money, but it's a very high intense, stressful situation. And if I would have spent more time just on my own Sphere and database, I think I would have had a higher ROI and less stress in my life.
Wow. So Dawn, by the sounds of it, has some tremendous ambition and a huge success story. So another great example of, you just get into this and you run as fast as you can. And when you're generating leads at a high level and at a high volume, it's you're so in the thick of it that you don't oftentimes, take a look at what you've built. You don't even realize that you've got this giant gold mine behind you, but you're so busy running forward. And regardless of scale, that I think applies to everybody. And quickly, to answer the question of what is a database or which is the best database, rather than focusing on which CRM system you should use, your database is basically people you know by first name. They know you. You could do business with them. And if you keep in touch with them, you can build a repeat referral business that will feed you for your entire career. And if you're selling at a high level and a high volume, man, you can probably feed your whole team, without even paying for leads anymore, if you do it at a high level.
You have
And,
KV Core. KV Core comes with with your EXP monthly fees, and it's the challenge is as most people, when you get in there, it's a little bit overwhelming to set it up and learn it. So there's a couple different people within our organization that you pay them, will set it up for you. But if you spend some time on your database, then it's much better. And that's a mistake that I made, is not understanding. Everyone's chasing the new shiny silver object or gold object, and whether it's leads or Facebook leads, and yet your highest return on your investment and your greatest return is your own Spear and database, as opposed to trying to convert Facebook leads at a 1% to 2% deal. You got to do 100 of those, 100 leads to get 1 or 2 buyers. You have to do on a Zillow or ZRT lead, which now has changed, and they're changing our industry. You're looking at 3 to 5. So you got to go through 100 of those people, and if you're paying $200 per lead, you're going to spend $20,000 in order to get that. But yet on your database and people that use you should have a 10% return. So build that database. Keep adding to your database on a daily basis. And as a past Tom Ferry Team Plus coach, we'd always talk about 554. And that is, you want to add 5 new people to your database on a daily basis.
Love that. Love that. So good. Sorry, I paused for a second there. So good. Yes, and another note is that obviously your database doesn't cost you money, right? Because you don't have to pay for these leads. But also it costs a lot less time, because you're not spending time building credibility throughout the sales process. You've done that up front with these people because they know you. You've built that relationship in many cases. Okay, so Courtney, what would you do differently, or what would you guys do differently going back in time and starting all over again?
I'm gonna first reiterate sphere of influence. It's free. Talk to everyone you know. Go through your Facebook friends list and enthusiastically just catch up with people that maybe you haven't caught up with in a while, and don't try to sell them, but just be like, yo, I haven't seen you in a while. Do you want to go have coffee, or do you want to have breakfast? And relationships, you guys, relationships is the name of this game. Go out and socialize with people that you already know, like, and trust, and that reciprocate those feelings back to you. And your sphere of influence will feed you forever. The other thing that I would say for us, if you are going to buy leads, and we definitely buy leads, don't get me wrong. But if you are going to try out lead generation systems, stay consistent. Pick something, and it's gonna take 3, 6, 9 months before it starts feeding you, and you have to stick with it. Consistency and showing up and adding value, that's everything to this business, and being out there to take care of people. If you're out there doing that and leading the way, they're going to start coming to you at some point when they see that, oh, hey, Andrea's out there every day and she's helping people, and she's not just selling people things. She is genuinely caring about our community and caring about making sure that her clients are taken care of. And you'll just start getting referrals. We get referrals left and right from past clients, from people that we've helped or told not to buy or sell, that they've they then get into a conversation with somebody else and they're like, yeah, this AJ, he told me not to sell. And you know what? That was the best advice he could have given me. You should definitely use him if you're going to move to our area. So just, be out there enthusiastically helping people, and just talking to everybody and creating and building those relationships and being consistent.
Yeah, I want to key in on a few things that Courtney had just said, which is enthusiasm. That's a big deal. Not always trying to sell something. Add value first, build the relationship first, be a person, networking, always be networking. People say always be closing, always be networking, always be adding value. And leveraging social media, it's just like, man, that's a whole nother conversation in itself. But, some of you that have been in the business 15, 20, 30 years, back then you had to pick up the phone and talk to people. There was no other option. You couldn't text, you couldn't do a video, you couldn't go on social media. If you didn't have their contact information, you couldn't get in touch with them. So if you have their name right now these days, you can connect on social media. So that's a big tool for leveraging. But we have a common theme so far. Rich and Grace, what would you do differently starting all over again, knowing what you know now?
Well, I started out with a company where we did a lot of relocation business. And I was always told, you got to list to last. So I listed, but all those listings moved out of state. So I probably would have gone back in time and said, yeah, let me work more with buyers that are moving here and add them to my sphere of influence rather than get the home sale. And we did get, or I should say, I got additional listings from other people, but I did not work my sphere the way I really should have. Right now, our marketing is really on our sphere of influence. We have a marketing company that has a plan to build that sphere to hopefully over 1,000 people. And so we've been actively trying to do that. So if I could go back in time, it would be absolutely do whatever you can to build your sphere of influence, and do not be the secret agent. Get out there, put 10 business cards in your pocket every single day and say, I'm not going home until I hand them out to where people know I'm selling real estate. Those are the things I would highly recommend.
I'm going to add a little bit there. Personally, for me, I think we all need to really know the business before we're actually working the business. So I do highly recommend, working with a very seasoned agent that really, represents well and knows the market and handles the transaction professionally. I think that a lot of people are constantly in this business now that are hoping, just to make a lot of money, and that's awesome and great. But we also have to take really good care of the client, because we are, assisting them in a very large transaction. So I felt, I was very honored to be given a mentorship from somebody that was, extremely good agent when I was started out, and it has helped me put my clients best. Anything that benefits the client as the most important decision to make in each and every turn.
I love that addition. And I'll say it, in my words, when you're a brand new agent, ask as many questions to as many people as you can, especially in EXP. It's such a collaborative environment. Don't struggle quietly. Ask 1,000 questions and you won't ever struggle. All you'll do is learn new things. But again, we're getting a lot of center of influence, a few different ways of how to build it and how they would have built it differently. But as you can already tell, that is the name of the game. And we had one question that came in. Well, first I'll answer the question really quick. I built my business on for sale by owners because I didn't know anybody. And I did a really great job of building my database out of past clients through that lead source. But just to reiterate the importance of center of influence, it was a great opportunity to learn how to sell, talking to for sale by owners. But in hindsight, I would have done the heavy lifting at networking events or nonprofit. I would have probably volunteered for 10 different nonprofit organizations, building relationships organically over time. That would have been probably more work up front without getting paid. But man, I did that later in my career, and it was 10 times the benefit. And also, it's just a feel good thing. You know, everybody, we can all, you know, donate our time. So I would highly recommend doing that. I didn't know anybody in my market, so I had to start somewhere in building the database. But back to the database is important. So the question came in, what are the top 3 marketing, you know, let's say marketing methods that you use? But I'm going to frame the question this way. I'm going to frame it in such a way, what is your, in your mind, what is the difference between marketing and prospecting? I think this is an important discussion. Brian and Andrea, what's the difference between marketing and prospecting in your mind?
Interesting, because I don't feel like we do prospecting because we have built our business 100% by referral, only through our database. We don't do internet leads. We don't do any of those other things. FSBOs, expireds, canceled. For us, it is, we do have lead generation time every day consistently, and yet it is just reaching out to people that we know. It's not always asking for business. It's just continuing to invest in those relationships. So I think for us, it is consistency as far as the marketing. On the other framed question, it's consistency with calls. We write personal notes every month to our highest level referrers, and then we do have a in the mail newsletter that goes out every month to our entire database. So I don't know if that answers the question between prospecting, but
well, this is what I got from it. Prospecting is the effort you put in. So that's the investing in your database, your relationships, and marketing is the consistency of doing it. You know, it sounds like you run a very lean business and a very high quality business for, like you'd mentioned earlier, with your customer service. So that's, by the way, customer service in itself can be a lead generation source just by being so good at what you do that they rant and rave about you all over town and can't wait to do business with you again. And you know, they become huge customer cheerleaders. And if you're good enough at this, every single one of your clients will turn out to be that way, to a point where, like what Brian and Andrea have done, you know, the business just organically keeps coming in.
And we do always say that. I just want to add that quickly. We say we always want to duplicate every client. Otherwise, it's a waste of a client. So while you're in a transaction with a buyer, you know, you're asking that buyer for other business because they're so excited to be buying a house. Who's more excited than somebody buying a house? Like, they're talking to everybody, everywhere they go about it. So getting those referrals from them is like the best referral ever.
Yes, thank you for adding that. And for those that are listening, that is a huge gold nugget. The best and most likely time for you to receive a referral from anybody is during a transaction when they are already excited and talking to their entire center of influence out and about through the public that they are buying and selling a house, which means that topic of conversation comes up more often than it ever will. And they're more excited about you than they ever will be. And so the most likely chance of them knowing somebody and being excited about referring you is at its highest level. So definitely thank you for that. That's gold. Okay, Dawn, in your mind, this should be a good one because of the way that you've built your business. In your mind, what is the difference between marketing and prospecting?
So marketing to me is getting your name out in front of prospective individuals. So whether I'm doing a farm, to me that's marketing. If I'm doing my social media, that's marketing. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create either inbound. The marketing creates inbound leads to me, so it's an inbound method. I do a 5,000 home farm. My phone rings. That's marketing. That's an inbound lead. Prospecting to me is an outbound phone call. I'm calling expired, a FISBOs, somebody that and that's prospecting to me. So when I do both. So my morning routine is I'm going to do my prospecting from 8 to 10, and those are I'm doing outbound phone calls, as opposed to something that, hey, my phone rings and it's an inbound call. So my difference, one's an in and one's an out.
My goodness, clear and concise, but I want to just quickly note, I'm writing notes down as fast as I'm asking these questions, because every one of these iConversations that I attend, I learn so much. So thank you for all of you for spitting all of the knowledge on all of us. This is exceptional. So marketing is inbound leads and prospecting is outbound calls to generate leads, which is quite a simple definition, but brilliant. I love that. And for somebody that produces at the level that you do, still making calls. So I'm telling you, and then, again, what Brian and Andrea said, consistency is key. Thank you very much. Okay, Courtney, what is in your mind the difference between marketing and prospecting?
Yeah, all of these have been great examples, but what to me the difference is, marketing is going out and adding value to other things. So whether it's mailing with value added service, right? I get postcards. I probably get 10 postcards a week that say, hey, this agent just listed this house in the neighborhood. And I'm like, how does that have any value? Like, very little value. But every once in a while we'll get a whole brochure that says, oh, here are all of the homes that have sold for X amount, like actually providing valuable information, not just like, hey, here's my new listing, come check it out. So marketing is adding value, whether it's through social media. If you, we're a part of a few like local groups. And so people will ask questions in there all the time about our area, or looking for vendor referrals as far as like contractors, electricians, blah, blah, blah. Adding value in those ways, going out, like you were saying, Chris, and volunteering, like that is adding value to your community. At the end of the day, we're in Southwest Florida. So I want to, how do I elevate Southwest Florida and make this the best possible place for us to live, for my family to grow up? Hopefully my kids don't want to move away when they're older. And obviously it's Southwest Florida, everybody wants to move here, but how do I make it the best Southwest Florida possible? So to me, going out into my community, finding ways to add value is marketing, versus prospecting is more one-on-one, building relationships. So like getting into an actual conversation with somebody, or like meeting someone when I'm out volunteering and saying, hey, I'm really enjoying this conversation. Do you want to get coffee and talk a little more? Same thing, I do it on social media when I'm chatting with somebody that I referred, an electrician or a painter or whatever, to DMing them and being like, hey, can I answer any questions? So prospecting to me is more one-on-one, building that relationship, whereas marketing is more just going out and adding value to people and putting goodwill out to attract goodwill, if you will.
Wow. So I seen that add value, build goodwill. That's a general overall overview for both marketing and prospecting. And specifically, marketing is community, and of course add value, make sure you're standing out, and then prospecting is more one-on-one. I love these perspectives. Everybody has something a bit different in their definition, but it's all relevant. Very great. Excellent. Okay, so let's hear it from Rich and Grace. What is the difference between marketing and prospecting in your mind?
Well, I do want to say this. Marketing and prospecting, I would have to agree. Marketing is you telling people about yourself, letting them know you're a real estate agent. Prospecting is reaching out to individuals. But the one thing I learned in this business, a lot of people first starting, they don't have the deep pockets. Put up a billboard. We have a billboard, so that's part of our marketing. We have a marketing company that we pay thousands of dollars to do that. For somebody brand new in real estate, I would say this: you go to your favorite gas station, and you probably know the person in there, and you reach out to that person and say, "Hey, can I leave like 20 business cards here? And if you have anybody that's getting gas here that talks about wanting to consider moving in this area, would you mind handing them my business card and telling them to call me?" That, to me, that's marketing. That's a general statement. Help, Rich and Grace, sell their product. If I walked up to that same person and said, "Hey, you meet a lot of people in here. Do you know anybody that is interested in buying a house offhand?" Or what if I stop back next week and I ask you the same question? Do you think you can maybe provide me one name? To me, that's prospecting. And that's a very inexpensive way to market yourself and actually prospect. But I'll let my wife, Grace, give you her opinion on that as well.
Actually, I'm right in line with that as well. The in and the out of it. Prospecting is, building that relationship with somebody that's looking to get, from point A to point B. They may not be ready right now. They may be ready in a month, 2 months, a year, 2 years. We've nurtured people for a really long time, and then they finally, raise their hands, and all of a sudden they're, wanting to list their house and buy another one. So, to me, prospecting is, keeping those embers warm, shall we say, and the marketing is letting people know who we are, when we do something, how we, engage with people in the community, or how we care about the community. Those are all the different perspectives I see it as.
Excellent. My 2 cents on marketing and prospecting is, prospecting is planting the seed, and marketing is watering the seed, right? And, if you're a brand new agent, it doesn't cost you money to pick up the phone and talk to people. That's prospecting. And again, in this day and age, if you work on organic social media efforts, you can also now market without having it cost you a lot of money. 20 years ago, you would have had to pay $500, $250, $1,000 a month for bench ads or billboards. That was one of the print advertising. That was kind of the only option back then, postcards. But today we have exceptional tools at our fingertips. So definitely dig into that. So we've got about 9 minutes left. So we've had some questions come up on, what sort of splits that you should work with your teammates. And because there's so many different ways to answer this question, I would say focus on service first and work on your systems over time. It's going to be an evolution as to how you work this process. Just move forward, build and grow continually, consistently, and put the client first. But really quickly from each of us, let's hear, as a newer agent, or as an agent building, or maybe an agent considering building a team, let's hear it, to team or not to team. Let's hear that conversation quickly. And I hope that we have enough time to cover this. It's kind of maybe a bit of a can of worms last minute here, but to team or not to team. And maybe let's gear it more towards new agents that ask that question. Brian and Andrea.
Well, I would start off with how many leads are you bringing in? I mean, we started to build a team when we realized we couldn't service people to the level that we needed.
And yet, I would add to that, as a new agent, I'm a big believer in joining a team, because you learn so much from that experienced agent. There's just so much to learn in real estate, and I think that's the best way to get it. Instead of, it's like handing the kids, a 16-year-old, the keys to the car and not telling them how to drive.
Yeah, love it. Service first, and yeah, so advising to start with a team, because having the right mentorship and systems in place, it can definitely give you a boost. Great. Dawn, to team or not to team?
To team or not to team? Depends. Again, it depends on your business plan. It depends on your goals and aspirations. Just because having a team sounds, like, amazing, and you're going to make all this money and all this, there's a lot more that comes to it. It's a lot of responsibility. Are your people being fed leads? Are you providing the systems and the processes to do so? So if you look at teams, there's usually there's basically 4 types of teams. There's normally the husband and wife team, right? So we got Brian and Andrea, husband and wife team. We got AJ and Courtney, husband and wife team. And there's another team that's called the haptenants or haptenants. And that means that 2 agents just happen to get together in the office and become a team. And, again, if you don't have well-written goals and well-written duties and scope of assignments, then, what happens when somebody's doing 80% of the production and someone else is doing 20? Then what happens? And then there's teams are mega teams. And so, again, what team do you want to achieve? Why do you want to have a team? It's now you're running a business within a business, and I can attest, when I sat down in December 2018 at my desk and I looked at my production of 150 transactions, I'm sorry, it was 250 transactions, 3.2 million in GCI, I wasn't very happy. I was not happy. And you think, well, that's great. I looked at the production. Well, that's amazing when you're spending, like I said, $1 million a year to run that team. So you take, $1 million of that off right there. So now you're at 2.2 million. Okay, great. And then you look at the production of your team and you say, okay, well, how much did the team generate? And how much did I generate in my listing production? So I generated personally, $700,000-$800,000 in GCI, and the team did another whatever. I think whatever was left over. But at the end of the day, by the time I paid for all the leads, costs, and overhead, I generated maybe an extra $150,000. So these numbers looked amazing, and I looked like I'm doing $3.2 million. But again, there's scalability and profitability. And so I think a lot of people go and buy all these systems, processes, leads, spend all this time, and like I was, and answering my phone to my team, hey, I got an offer, I need to write, can you look at it, on a Saturday and a Sunday, and then, well, when are we going to have a party, and when are we going to do this? And it was just like they sucked the living blood out of me. And so I scaled it back to a team that is much smaller. And the funny part, in 2019, when I blew my team up, the year later, my accountant goes, you made more money than last year. I said, what? I said, that's impossible. He says, no, look at your numbers. You made more money than you did running this big team. And I was like, oh, crap. So I did. So, my 2 cents on this, if it's worth anything to you, is, most teams start out with, number one, hire an admin. Your admin person can help you grow and scale your business. I'm now switching to, an admin that is virtual. It's costing me half the price. So, get an admin, hire your first buyer's agent, right? And then maybe your second buyer's agent, and then, figure out where you want to go. But be careful, if I may say, to watch your expenses. You can find yourself really fast having a lot of overhead, and that agent's not producing, and you're going to be losing money.
Yeah, that's so important, Dawn, and especially for newer realtors. Don't forget to pay your taxes, and focus on profit. Like, are you profitable? More deals isn't always better. Gross commission income, some people call it, ego commission income. And it's like, well, it's a cost benefit of your money, dollars spent, of course, for expenses, but it's also a cost benefit of your time. Like, you might spend triple the time for the same profit. to do triple the business when you could really make the same profit with much less effort, you know, without putting all that extra into it. So I love that answer. And two, the EXP modern team is a bit of a hybrid that you can leverage people without sort of managing all of them and inspiring them instead, which is another great conversation for another day. Courtney, to team or not to team?
We are the oddball exception here. Absolutely. We say no team, no formal team, in our opinion, especially with the EXP model. It doesn't make sense for anybody who wants to be an entrepreneur, who actually wants to build a career out of this, who actually wants to grow and do something with real estate. So Dawn, I actually want to circle back to something you mentioned. You mentioned how the accountant told you that you made more money. We 100% experienced that by scaling back, by going back into sales. So to reiterate from what I said in our intro, we had a brokerage. We grew it organically over 3 years to 54 agents and doing over $100 million in sales. When we left, so the year before we opened that, we made more money. And the first year we didn't make more money, but the second year after we left, we made more money. Hands down, just the two of us doing it. And so going back to what I was saying, as far as like whether or not to join a team from a new agent's perspective, because I believe that that's where that question was being framed, not necessarily do I want to lead a team. From a new agent perspective, do you want a job? If you want a job, join a team. You will get fed leads and fed referrals and told you this is your client, this is not your client. So if you're just looking for a quick way to make some money, some great money, don't get me wrong, then by all means go take, in my opinion, and I don't mean this to be degrading by any means, but take the easier route and get fed those leads. But if you really want to learn this business and you really want to have something remarkable that you have grown and you want to be self-sufficient, self-sustaining, you guys are already here, but find a mentor, find somebody who would be your EXP sponsor, because as our sponsor makes money off of us, you guys, until we cap out, our sponsor makes money. So it's in your best interest to help people in your downline when you start bringing people on. And so find somebody who will help you. And so like what we do with extra leads that we can't handle is we will say, okay, hey, Dawn, you're in our downline. I can't handle this client right now. Do you want a lead? It's going to cost you 50% because I spent the money. I probably cultivated the relationship to some extent, but I can't handle. I just don't have the time to go out and show, 15 showings to them this weekend. And he has the choice to say, yeah, I'll take it at a 50%, referral fee to you guys. And so we make that 50%. We make the rev share until he caps out. We help teach him. So we're, as his sponsor into EXP, we are here to help him grow his business. If our downline, anybody in our downline has a question, we are always telling them, if you have a question, feel free to reach out. Like, it's in my best interest to help you grow a very successful real estate business, because then in turn you're going to fill my next line downline, and then I make even more money off of you. So being there to support when you bring people in, but not formally creating a team, because we had that. We had, hey, let's bring in all these brand new agents and let's do the work. We'll train them, blah, blah, blah. Responsibility, overhead, like all of that. That's why we sold our brokerage, decided to go on our own. So the EXP model is absolutely brilliant in the sense that we can have that, but we don't have to do any of that. But for the people who do want to learn, which are the people that we attract, we're not big recruiters. We attract people just from the amount of business that we do and from our reputation. So, you know, the type of people that we attract and the type of people that we bring onto our downlines, honestly, they're usually friends first that we've cultivated that relationship, and they're like, you know, I really want to work with you guys, but we don't take the responsibility of them working for us. We have zero responsibility. If you work this lead, if you accept this lead from us, great. If you don't, I got 3 other people who are behind you that are willing to do it. So I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, that's great. And before we move on, how are we doing for time? Or is there, do we have a couple of minutes?
No, we're actually over.
Yeah, we're over on time, but is there somebody waiting to get on?
Well, I'll do a short one here.
Yeah.
There's different versions of teams that you have to identify what is the route you want to take. There are some mega teams and they work great for some people, but they don't work for others. For us, I feel building a team is what can other people do in our business that we don't have to do that allows us more time to grow our business. I hate paperwork. So hiring an administrative assistant might be that form of building a team. If you don't like making phone calls, then you need an inside sales agent. If you had somebody just setting appointments for you, and yes, it is a crazy buyer's market there, but let's say you just focused on listings and you had somebody making all the phone calls. Your team could be 3 or 4 people that one person handles the paperwork, one person is making the calls, setting the appointments. You're out there drumming up the business, and all you're doing is going, who's next? Who's next? You handle this. Let me know if I need to get involved.
Yes. 100%. So what are you good at? What are you not good at? And what are your goals? That's really going to help you answer that question. As Rich had mentioned, well, what sort of skills and assets do you bring to this business, right? And where do you need support and help? And I think that, you know, Courtney made a great point on with EXP, we can build a hybrid. You know, we can have a sort of team. We can have a team without having a team. We can have support and buyer's agents that still run their own business because we haven't overpromised on telling them that we're going to manage their entire business, right? And so you can build a support system of having multiple options for agents on your team, and or likewise, if you're a starting agent, you can find support and mentorship in your community through that system as well. So I hope this was helpful. Thanks for your patience. We're 6 minutes over, and I'm going to put this out there. Feel free to reach out on social media, and again, ask lots of questions. If I can help at all, point you in the right direction in business, some way, shape, or form, I'll do so and pay it forward. Get out and have a productive week. Thanks for today, and we'll talk to you again sometime soon. And thanks everybody for sharing your knowledge.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you for hosting.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.